Here. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, and ladies, we are back again for another stream. Tonight I got a few stories for you guys. Dan Snyder, Saquon Barkley, and of course, this is day 20. We are 20 days in on our 32 and 31 days. All NFL teams will be covered. We're getting towards the end. It's been a really, really great time doing these videos with you guys. I'm having a good time with it. Tonight we'll get into the Packers. Obviously, Mr. Jordan Love and company. I'm not going to say anything about Rodgers, all right? You guys already know how I feel about the man. I respect his talent. We know he's a diva. But, hey, we'll get into that later. Make sure you guys smash that like, that thumbs up, and, of course, subscribe to the channel. Turn on your notifications so you don't miss a stream as we get into it. All right, so the first story, Mr. Saquon Barkley. There's been a lot of talks in regards to the contract, the issues that he's been having with the Giants, and whether or not he feels appreciated. I think that's one of the biggest problems with a lot of the NFL players today. I'm not going to say people are entitled, but listen, if you're a veteran, you've been playing for a long time, you do have a shelf life. And that's kind of the issue that the running backs have been having. Josh Jacobs, Dalvin Cook, whether or not these guys are going to get paid what they want to is what's really in question. But, hey, let's get into the video, and then we'll mine it out. Shout out to Scott. Shout out to Forest Green. What's up, you guys? Shout out to the Wrench Gang, the family, as we get into it.
I have no worry about going on a football field and knowing that I'm not playing for my worth, or saying if I have to play under, because this is my leverage. My leverage is I can say F you to the Giants, I can say F you to my teammates and be like, you want me to show you my worth? You want to show you how valuable I am to the team? I won't show up. I won't play it down.
So let's just go back a little bit, right? Are we forgetting that Saquon had to sit out because he was injured, right? Now listen, you're a star running back. I get it. You can ball. You get the yards. You get the first downs. You're like a wrecking ball coming through that defensive line. But that's only when you're healthy. When you were injured, the Giants were looking for all kinds of alternatives. But hey, let's keep it going. Shout out to the Josh Hawkins show. What up, yo? Shout out to Babe too. She got me over here laughing. All right, let's keep it going.
And that's a play I can use. Anybody knows me, knows that's not something I want to do. But like, it's something that crossed my mind. It's like I never thought I would ever do that. But like now I'm at a point where it's like, Jesus, like I might have to take it to this level. And like, am I willing? Am I prepared to take it to the level? I don't know.
You know, and let's just veer off from football for a minute. Let's talk about life, because I feel like this is a teachable moment for anyone that's watching later or listening now. There's got to be a correlation between your job, your career, and obviously your money, right? Find the balance. What makes you happy, what you're willing to sacrifice for that money. Now, a lot of people will never be in Saquon Barkley's position, right, to have the leverage to bargain millions of dollars for a contract, nor have the ability to say, you know what, I'm going to sit it out even though I'm being offered $14 million because I want 22. I'm going to sit it out. I want $14 million, but I'm going to sit it out because I want 22. You know, and that's kind of it's kind of where we are today, whether it be a job, whether it be playing football, whether you want to sell your house, you want to sell your vehicle, you always want the top dollar and the top price. But when you look at the market value in regards to running backs and what they're worth right now, and how they're too basically used as a workhorse, they're beat up all the time, and how their shelf life is very low. You're not going to get quarterback money as a running back, and I feel like that's what running backs want. Now, should they get paid? Obviously, they should get paid. They should get what they're worth. But that worth basically has to be determined on what they're actually bringing to the table. But hey, let's go ahead and get into the rest of the story. Saquon Barkley says he considered not playing for the New York Giants this season, admitting during a recent interview that he might have to take it to this level amid his stalemate with the team over a long-term contract. Barkley discussed his leverage and contract negotiations with the Giants during an appearance on the Money Matters podcast that was recorded before Monday's deadline for franchise players to agree to long-term deals. The Giants and Barkley did not agree to a deal before the deadline, meaning the star running back will have to play the upcoming season under the $10 million franchise tender. Oh, my goodness. Only $10 million. But hey, since he still has not signed the tender, Barkley cannot be fined for missing training camp, which begins for Giants veterans on Tuesday. The two-time Pro Bowler will lose money only if he misses regular season games, and he has to forfeit game checks, a possibility he acknowledged he considered. Listen, like I said, 99% of anyone that's watching or listening to this would never be in this situation to say, you know what, I'm going to wait it out. I'm not even going to sign the contract yet for $10 million because I want more money. And there's a lot that goes into, I get it, right? You got your agent fees, you got to pay your taxes. That $10 million at the end of the day probably is more so, I mean, if I'm just going over the top, $4.5 million when it's all said and done. So I get it, right? You put in the work, you should get paid for it. But at the same time, it's kind of like if you look at what's going on with the running backs in the league, you may have to take something on the chin. You may have to take a cut on your pay. But hey, just make sure you're healthy when you do decide to go out there and ball and you're ready to go. Continuing on, says my leverage is I could say F you to the Giants. I could say F you to my teammates, Barkley to the podcast, which published the July 11th interview on Monday, and be like, you want me to show you my worth? You want me to show you how valuable I am to the team? I won't show up. I won't play it down. And that's a play I could use. For some reason, I'm getting emotional vibes from this. You know, all the talk and all the going on podcast and, you know, downing your team and downing your management. Does that sound like someone that you'd want to pay more money? Or does that sound like someone you'd want to have on your team? What kind of chemistry does this lead to in the locker room when you're saying, hey, I'm prepared to show you what I'm worth? No, they should already know what you're worth. If they're not paying you what you're worth, then that might mean something. But hey, it's lightning outside. Thunder. That's what you guys hear in the back. That boom, crack, all that kind of stuff. Rodney says, what they offer him? They offered him $14 million. He's looking for around 22. That's basically what's going on right now. Continuing on, says anybody who knows me knows it's not something I want to do, but you brought it up. Okay. It is something that crossed my mind. I never thought I would ever do that, but now I'm at a point where I'm like, Jesus, I might just have to take this to this level. Am I prepared to take it to the level? I don't know. I mean, if you said it, you're most likely prepared to. It's your money. People do things for money. It's just a reality of it. Continuing on, Barkley said he wanted to discuss his options with his family and advisors in order to strategize about this rather than just go off emotions. Okay, didn't I just say that? You're talking off emotions. Why not talk to your people before you even went on a podcast and said all this stuff? Talk about pushing the cart before the horse. Adam Schefter earlier this week said that Barkley is not expected to report for the start of training camp. Also, running back Le'Veon Bell was the most recent player to sit out an entire season in 2018 with the Pittsburgh Steelers, in which Le'Veon Bell actually just apologized to the Steelers, and he just said that he should have never did that. You might want to pay attention to people who say stuff like that and realize where they are in their career before you just jump out and decide to act like this for what you think you're worth. But Barkley reiterated during the podcast that he considers himself the best running back in the NFL, but also said he wants to help the Giants win a Super Bowl. If you want to help the Giants win a Super Bowl and you want a Super Bowl ring, get out there, make a deal, show up to camp, and get ready to ball. I want to see it. I want to see the Giants ball. I don't want there to be any excuses, because when you guys go nuts in a stream and we're going back and forth talking our garbage, I don't want you to be like, oh, we didn't have Saquon Barkley or Saquon's at 100%. No, I want him to ball so you guys have something to say whether they win or lose, and there's no excuses. And that's my take on Mr. Saquon Barkley. Hey, shout out to Rodney, says, didn't go play? Exactly. But you know how that goes. Drama, NFL before the season starts. All right, speaking of drama, this man right here, I would consider this is probably one of the NFL owners who have the most punchable face out of all of them. Dan Snyder. If you've been living under a rock, Dan Snyder is the owner of the Washington Commanders, or no, he was the owner. As of today, the other NFL owners have unanimously approved that the Commanders can be sold. Let's get into this one.
To be successful, we understand that we need to win championships, create a positive impact on the community, and create incredible memories and great experiences for our fan base, much like I had as a youth growing up in Washington. We'll have more to say in the days that come, but today I want to leave it here. To our team and the incredible fan base in Washington, a new era of Washington football is here. It's time to get to work. I know.
So, listen, one of the biggest issues that the Washington Commanders had was their culture, right? You can blame the team struggles on coaching. You can blame the team struggles on, the front office. You can blame it on the talent. One of the biggest things that can contribute to a team's success is definitely the owner. And if the team is in a toxic work environment, has a toxic workplace, what do you think is going to happen on the field? Everyone just supposed to go out there and ball and win and be okay? No, it starts from the top and then it goes to the bottom. If your team morale is garbage, guess what? It's most likely because of the front office and then the ownership, because they're not making the right decisions. Well, as we know, and that's been documented, Dan Snyder was running, obviously I got to keep it PG. I don't want to say the words, because we keep it PG over here for the most part. But it would be nothing short of saying that he was running let me stop. Shout out to Jeff King, because I want to go there, but I'm not going to go there. I'm just going to go to read the story. The Washington Commanders no longer belong to Dan Snyder. NFL owners voting during a special session Thursday unanimously approved the team's sale from Snyder's family to a group led by Josh Harris. Shout out to Rodney Fouch. Yes, a circus. That's a good PG word. Thank you for that, because I was so close to just going way overboard. I'm glad you reeled it in for me, Rodney. Shout out to you. Yes, he was running a circus. But just like Dakota said, circus is an understatement. That's why I was looking for the most ridiculous word I could find, but I didn't want to say it. But keeping it going, the Harris Group was paying $6 billion, a record sum for the North American sports franchise. Snyder had owned the majority of the Commanders since 1999, and his family became the sole owners after he bought out his limited partners 2 years ago. Harris said he felt humbled and awed to be the new owner. I feel an awesome responsibility to the city of Washington. Harris said, I know what I've got to do. It comes down to winning. It's on me and our ownership group to deliver. That's what we're going to do. Harris grew up in Washington, D.C. area and recalled early memories of walking past RFK Stadium, site of the franchise's former home. He rattled off the team's former greats, from quarterbacks Sonny Jurgensen in the 60s and 70s to cornerback Darrell Green and wide receiver Art Monk. Shout out to Art. He was nice. The franchise is part of who I am, Harris said, but being a fan is not enough. To be successful, we need to win championships, create a positive impact on the community, and create incredible memories for our fan base, much like I had as a youth growing up in Washington. I think this is a good thing for Washington, without a doubt. Shout out to Jeff King. Jeff, you can say it. You know, if I say it, I get monetized and all that kind of stuff, or demonetized. But, you can say it. You guys can hold it down for me in the chat. Y'all got free reign tonight. Y'all know how we do. Continuing on, NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell called Harris a great addition to the NFL, pointing to his record in business, sports, and his work in communities. As someone who grew up in Washington, I know how important it is that franchise is to community, Goodell said. The franchise is in good hands with this group. They want to put the franchise where they think it belongs, where it's respected, not just in the community, but worldwide. So there you go. Obviously, the deal's done. Harris is the new owner. And hopefully we see, the Commanders turn around, right? I do think that there's probably going to be maybe another change with their name. I know there was some talk or some issue that was going on with the name. It's had so many issues with that. Maybe the Harris and company can figure that out. But overall, just create a better environment for your workers, a better environment for your players, a great experience for the fans so they're not getting robbed for their season tickets, if you don't remember that story. But yeah, a lot definitely needed to be changed. I'm glad that the NFL owners decided to go ahead and approve this because it needed to happen. On the flip side, shout out to Jeff, Mr. S Show. Mr. S Show himself, you guys should know what S means, was fined $60 million in an investigation. Let's get into this one. It says Washington Commanders owner, or previous owner, we got to fix that, Dan Snyder harassed a team employee and oversaw team executives who deliberately withheld millions of dollars in revenue from other clubs. Yeah. It just gets worse the more you go down the rabbit hole. Let me read this over to you. Dan Snyder harassed a team employee and oversaw team executives who deliberately withheld millions of dollars in revenue from other clubs, and he has agreed to pay a $60 million fine the league announced on Thursday. I'm going to be honest. Yes, $60 million is a lot of money to us, but this is a slap on the wrist compared to the amount of money he just made from the sale. But hey, I'll keep it going. The NFL released a 23-page report detailing the findings of an independent investigation into Snyder's conduct just minutes after owners unanimously approved the sale of the Commanders to Josh Harris for a record $6.5 billion sale. The fine represents what? I just said it. The fine represents 1% of the sale price. Snyder bought the team, then known as the Redskins, for $800 million. He sold the team for $6 billion. Let's all pause on that for a second. Continuing on. The investigation was led by former Security and Exchange Commissioner Chair Mary Jo White and conducted by her law firm Debevis and Plimpton. The league had pledged to make the findings of the probe public. I can't wait to see this. I'll read through it. We'll talk about it. We'll mine all that out once that's released. Investigators concluded that Washington withheld $11 million in revenue that should have been shared with other teams, and an amount that reports suggest might have been far greater. White's firm was unable to reach a conclusion about tens of millions of additional dollars that might have been withheld in part because Snyder and the team did not cooperate fully with the investigation. Come on, yo. This really, really makes you think, the elites and the richer get richer. And don't get me wrong, listen, I'm all for capitalism, right? I have a business. I want to make money. I want to see other people succeed. But when you're doing that at the expense of being a complete dirtbag, robbing people for their money, and just running a terrible, terrible establishment, I don't think you should be rich from it. I really don't. But hey, who am I? Just the guy in front of the mic. Continuing on. The report concluded that Snyder harassed former team employee Tiffany Johnston, allegations that Johnston first made last year in front of a House committee. Snyder placed his hand on Johnson's thigh at a team dinner and pushed her toward his car as they were leaving the restaurant. This is a married man. The findings do speak for themselves in both cases. It's inappropriate. It's wrong. It doesn't match our values, Commissioner Roger Goodell said in a news conference in Minnesota after NFL owners voted. Snyder has denied Johnson's allegations, of course he would, and repeated that denial in an interview with White's investigators. He agreed to speak with investigators for only 1 hour, the report said. You know, when people have this amount of money, it just goes to show what they feel that, they can do. Obviously you get the money, you get the power. You can pay certain things off. You can do whatever you want to do. You can pay things off. You're part of an elite group, and you act like you're untouchable. We see this time and time and time again. And I feel like I'm reporting on some kind of story like this once a month. And somebody different. You guys already know. Shout out to Rebecca. What's up, Rebecca? Bills Mafia in the house. Continuing on, White's firm did not conclude whether Snyder was personally aware of the financial improprieties, but witnesses told investigators that Snyder repeatedly pressured team employees to prove its financial performance. Prove its financial performance. That means cook the books. Telling them every dollar matters. Documents detailing how the team moved revenue into accounts that shielded the money from the other teams were shared with Snyder on at least one occasion, the report said. At minimum, Snyder was aware of certain efforts to minimize revenue sharing, at least some of which were later found to be in violation of the NFL rules, the report said. In order to skirt NFL revenue sharing rules, Washington would classify team-related revenue as money made from special events such as concerts, college football games, or soccer games. Hey, we'll just say we made it from the people listening to, Hannah Montana, the kids' college football games, and the soccer games. Sweep it under there. Shout out to Sheila. Joining the family. Let's go. Shout out to you, Sheila. Welcome to the family. Got that nice gold TF next to your name. Hey, and if you guys didn't know, I was talking to you guys on the last stream. I'm bringing back that special service that we had going last year for the streams. So it's a good time to join back up for the family because it's back. So shout out to you, Sheila. Thank you for joining and welcome to the family. Scott says, sounds like the previous owner of the Phoenix Suns. Listen, why is there so many examples of the corruption and the issues in not just NFL, but almost every sport, baseball, basketball, golf. Just pick a sport and we can go find a story about corruption and people stealing money and hiding it. But hey, if it were me or you, we'd be under the jail. It goes on to say, if the NFL had a jail, we would be in it. A team employee wrote to its chief financial officer in 2010 after agreeing to allocate NFL revenue to a college game. I'm going to end it there on that one. I just can't. I can't anymore. This is absolutely ridiculous. So, yeah, ladies and gentlemen, the Washington Commanders have been sold. Dan Snyder's fined $60 million, and that is the end of the reign of Dan Snyder. That's it. So, yeah, let's move on. Speaking of moving on, Mr. Jordan Love. He is looking to move on in his career and take his rightful place as a starting quarterback of the Green Bay Packers. Now, heading into the 2023-2024 season, I do expect Jordan Love to have his moments of shining. All right? We've seen what he could do with Aaron Rodgers being out for a few games. He stepped up. He rose to the occasion. But it's a whole different ball game starting on your own and leading a team in a new season. So let's get into this one. Let's get into the depth chart. Obviously, your starters for the Green Bay Packers on offense. Jordan Love, Aaron Jones, A.J. Dillon. And to be honest, obviously Aaron Jones, a little bit past his prime. A.J. Dillon, basically probably getting towards the end of his career. But you still have that dynamic running back group. So I definitely expect us to see a lot more running plays than passing plays this season, with Jordan Love just starting off. As far as wide receivers go, you're going to have Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs. These are two wide receivers that I definitely thought Mr. Rodgers were going to help shape and mold into be something great. But, he was a diva, and he really didn't want to do that. So now it's Jordan Love's job to work with these guys and make them great. And then you got Jaden Reed. Tight end's going to be Luke Musgrave. Fullback's going to be Henry Pearson. Left tackle, David Bakhtiari. Left guard, Elton Jenkins. Center's going to be Josh Myers. Right guard, John Runyon. And right tackle, Yosh Nijman. Shout out to Jeff. Says, buddy, here's the thing about money. People won't remember you for the amount of money you had, but they will remember whether you were. Jeff, you already know, man. You already know. And I think you, of all people, know. That's why I always preach accountability. I always treat people how I want to be treated. And at the end of the day, I understand that the legacy is not, for what you have, it's what you do. And it's really unfortunate that we're not in a society that's driven by that process or that thought process. But, all I can do is keep providing good sports content. Hopefully I can share a good message with somebody and they learn from it. Because at the end of the day, you can have millions of dollars and be like Dan Snyder, which everyone hates you. Keeping it going. Getting into the defense, you got Kenny Clark, TJ Slayton, Devontae Wyatt, Preston Smith, Devondre Campbell, Quay Walker, Rashawn Gary, Jair Alexander, Jonathan Owens, Darnell Savage, Razul Douglas, and then for your special teams, Anders Carlson, Pat O'Donnell, Jaden Reed, Keshawn Nixon, and Matt Ozek is your long snapper. Shout out to Patty Hassat. What's going on with you, Patty? How you doing tonight? Patty in the building. I think with Jordan Love coming over, there's definitely going to be some adjustments. There's definitely going to be.
Amen, brother.
Shout out to you, Jeff, coming through with the $50 super chat. Let's go. Hold on. I got to get Mr. Ric Flair out here for you guys. Mr. Jeff King coming through with the $50 super chat donation. Let me get this volume down here. All right, here we go. Ric Flair, where are you at? There it is. Shout out to you, Jeff. Thank you for the $50 donation. Thank you for the support, my friend. Also, shout out to Michelle coming through. Said it's football training camp season. Can't wait. Is Brock starting quarterback? Michelle, I don't think so. I think they're going to run with Mr. Trey Lance, see how it goes with him. And if he fails, in the first few games, then obviously they'll throw Brock in there. But we're going to get into that. We still got the 49ers coming up next week. Yeah, next week. So don't worry. I got the 49ers covered. I may have a special guest come on for that one as well. Got to see what his schedule is. You guys should already know. But we're definitely going to talk about those 49ers. Shout out to Rick. Says Ric Flair, or Scott says Rick never gets old. Never gets old. So back what I was saying, as far as the offense, as far as with Jordan Love coming over, he does have solid running backs. He has solid wide receivers. The real question is whether or not he's going to be poised. He's going to have that focus. He's actually going to have that grit and determination to put these Packers on his back. I do think that the offensive line is going to be solid for him. They already know how he plays. They're ready for it. So I do think they're going to benefit there. Obviously, defense, that's going to be in question. You do have some veterans. You do have some new players. But the defense for the Green Bay was shaky last year. So whether or not Green Bay actually has a positive record and can win this season is definitely going to heavily rely on their defense. So let's go ahead and get into the schedule. But before we do, shout out to Mr. Unholy. Says talk about the Vikes throwback uniforms. Michelle says it's getting hot. Listen, it was 84 today, 85 with the humidity. But it's hot everywhere. It's hot everywhere in the world right now. So you know how that goes. Mr. Unholy says Bills 7-9. Oh my goodness, yo. I don't know why these conversations have to happen. I'm in mid Packers stream and y'all want to flame me. You know what? Bills going undefeated. Hot take. What are you going to do? Get mad. And we're going to the Super Bowl. Why do you think Josh Allen's on the cover of Madden? They know who's going to the show this year. It's already written, as they say, right? You guys think NFL's rigged sometimes, so there you go. Allen's on the cover. We're going to the Super Bowl. There's no Madden curse. Leave me alone while I'm talking about these other teams. Y'all about to bring out the hoodie, yo. All right. Let me go ahead and get into this season, this regular or preseason. Y'all throwing me off. Preseason for these Green Bay Packers. All right, so they're going to start off on August 11th against the Cincinnati Bengals. Get into the Patriots on August 19th, and then the Seahawks 8/26. So that'll conclude preseason. And then regular season is going to start against the Chicago Bears, followed by the Atlanta Falcons, New Orleans Saints, Detroit Lions. Monday Night Football for them is going to be on October 9th against the Raiders. That should be a good one. Week 6 is going to be a bye week. Sunday, October 22nd is going to be against the Broncos, followed by the Vikings, the Rams, the Steelers, and then the Chargers. Then they'll go against Detroit, Kansas City Chiefs, another Monday Night Football game against the Giants, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Carolina Panthers. They'll play Minnesota again, and they'll finish off playing the Bears again. That'll be obviously a game to be determined. So, yeah, this is definitely going to be a tough schedule for Green Bay. Not specifically because of Green Bay as a team, but you're going to need Jordan Love to really understand how to read the defense of each team every week. And whether or not he's been paying attention to tape, whether or not he's been understanding as far as the coverages, and whether or not he's actually going to have the poise, the time in that pocket to make those plays is really what's going to determine whether or not he's going to be successful and can throw that ball. But like I said, I do see more running than him throwing this year. So you're going to see a lot of action from Aaron Jones, A.J. Dillon, short passes. I haven't seen too much of Jordan Love's deep ball. Obviously, we'll get into that tape week 1, see what's going on. We'll approach everything again. But for right now, I don't got them beating the Bears. I got them beating the Falcons. Saints is iffy. I'm going to have to go with Golf and Company on week 4. Raiders, for me, it's a toss-up 50-50. Denver, to me, it's another toss-up, depending on if Russell Wilson actually wants to play ball this year. I'm going to have to go Minnesota. I'll give them the Rams. Steelers, I like the Steelers against Green Bay. I got to go with Herbert and Company against Green Bay. Jared Goff, I got to go with Goff again. Kansas City Chiefs, that's your Super Bowl champions. I got them winning against Green Bay. Giants, I'm going to say this is 50-50, but I'm still giving the edge to the Giants just because I just don't know too much about his Jordan Love's game under pressure yet. I got them beating Tampa Bay, the Panthers, rematch against Minnesota. I'm going to have to give that one to the Vikings, and then the rematch with the Bears. I'm going to have to go the Bears. So, hey, that is my take. Like I said, I could be completely wrong. Obviously, you guys know I'm speculating. This is all fun. But that's just the way I see it right now. Obviously, week 1 could happen, and the Bears get completely torched, and I'm sitting here praising Jordan Love because he threw for 400 yards and 3 touchdowns. But hey, we'll see. We shall see. And I'll be excited to stream the games with you guys as we obviously get through the season. Obviously, we are literally 2 weeks out from football, ladies and gentlemen. Preseason starts in 2 weeks. I hope you're excited. I'm excited, and I'm ready to go for the NFL. Shout out to Scott, says, I love you, bro, but you're wrong. Listen, this is what it's all about. You guys already know what time it is, yo. You already know. Someone says I'm wrong. Someone says I'm right. And then week 5, someone's like, yo, Jay, you predicted it right. Oh, my goodness. Did you bet? And I'm like, yep, I did. And I'm like 5-1 right now. So, you know how that goes. Shout out to Rebecca. I got you, yo. I got you. There it is. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to be our show for tonight. Make sure you smash that thumbs up, and, of course, subscribe to the channel. Big shout out to all the listeners and watchers. Also, shout out to Jeff coming through with the $50 super chat donation. Also, Sheila for joining the family. Thank you guys for supporting me in the channel, and I will see you all tomorrow. Have a good night, everybody. Peace out.